Bye, 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 bye. As you can tell by my hair,
what talent is made of.
I am knackered. Well, do-badders, welcome to the bad stuff. We are all broken. Actually, Allie, you don't seem broken. You seem quite chirpy.
I'm actually the only endurance athlete among the three of us now, so of course I'm chirpy. I mean, to be fair, I do feel like I've been through an endurance event, a good one, but still, I'm also knackered. Yesterday I was absolutely knackered.
I disagree with you
actually,
there was. I have never been an endurance athlete, so you said now.
Ooh.
I've never been one.
Oh, come on! You invented the MDS. How can you not have?
I said endurance.
Claim that
endurance.
That's endurance.
You have to endure all those people in your tent.
Yeah. Hardest challenge. But, welcome to the bad stuff. And we thought we'd have a catch up about the run show. I thought it was weirdly quite pleasant compared to the chaos of the normal.
And there's David's review.
Way to go, getting us a bigger stage and a better stage at the run show in January. I thought it was weirdly quite pleasant. I thought it was great.
Well, you know what? Normally it's such a rush. It's such an absolute oh my days. And this was actually because I guess it's our schedule rather than the event itself.
Oh yeah, exactly.
But it felt more open as well because it didn't have as many really high stands. So even though it was the same space as Run South last year, when you were walking around, it felt like it was a bit more space to breathe because of the lack of these huge. It's a difference between being in a British town and being in New York surrounded by skyscrapers. Yeah.
It did feel like, the thing is, I was like, this feels like it's great because we can go and have chats with people and there's a little bit more time. But then the minute the stage stuff kicks in and the minute things start to go live, it is like full on, isn't it? Like it's proper full on.
Yeah.
But I kind of felt the same. I felt like it was a lovely little wonderful community village where we could trot around having a nice time, not hiding in the toilets eating a sandwich so that nobody talks to you.
Yeah, true. And the food wasn't even bad either. The food was quite good. Although it was quite weird the way I didn't actually head down to that section, but it sounded like the Predator was being repeatedly killed because they had a car show behind or something. Where it's just like
what the man versus car thing?
Absolutely screeching. Yeah. Did any of you try that?
No, but
go down.
When I heard it, I thought it was screaming from the main stage. I was like, "Is Harry Styles here?" Like it was like that squealing of wheels. I didn't try it. I thought you would have got it had a go. It was racing a Mini, wasn't it? You had to race a Mini.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I in my head, I'd said I was going to do it, but then just didn't get around to it. But should we firstly big up Mike and the team for the fact that they have done all these things to help on carbon footprint. So there wasn't carpet unnecessarily. There wasn't any programs which I was relying on. Apart from our stand, yeah. Well, there's carpets on the stands, but they're not in the aisles. And I think he said something like 42,000 tons of CO2 was saved by not having the flyers and the handouts and the. Although I was kind of relying on the flyers because I hadn't written out our schedule, and I thought I'll just get one of the programs that didn't realise wasn't there. So it's like, okay. Yeah.
We actually have to go so fast to write out who we're interviewing. Yes.
Yeah. You could have just taken a photo of the thing at the front. But top tip, everyone: if there's no flyers, take one flyer, get people to take a photo of it. Clever, right?
Good idea. Yeah, I like that. Or they should just have people walking around with massive sandwich boards, just so you can see them. But
there's not enough people with sandwich boards,
like that.
Are there? I mean, you think actually that would be quite effective in there. Someone with a sandwich board.
I've just had the best idea. So on our stand, we had a big cardboard cutout thing that said, it takes effort to be this mediocre. And we have got that. It's in my house. We could make a sandwich board out of it. And anybody that wins a race has to walk around wearing it for a week.
With the shame bell. Board. The shame bell behind him. Yeah.
Let's be naked underneath it. It's only one-sided, so it'll be awful.
But I love the fact that they're always actually trying to think of new things and actually changing the rules of exhibiting and conferences and. But yeah, what would you say were your highlights, Allie? What did you enjoy the most?
Well, I enjoyed all of it, but I always especially enjoy meeting people on that stand. Like that's the thing that I loved the most. I loved the diversity panel. I loved the interview with Laura Swanton-Ruvellin. I also love the fact that a lot of the stands weren't the great big brands; they were smaller brands, like more independent ones. So, like, I'm obsessed with BP3 knickers now, and
they're
also
really fun.
They're so fun and also functional. And there was a stand called Design by Sport who make leggings and tops and stuff, but they are for women and they have pockets, which sounds ridiculous, but the fact is, I'm actually wearing a pair now. They're amazing. So yeah, the little stands are not. I mean, I really missed the two actually, and I really missed some of the. There was no Innovate, there was no Ultra, but to be honest with you, like, you know, it is great to do that little bit of discovery, isn't it? And I suppose it's like anything. It's like when it all feels like it's on a slightly less hectic scale, you discover more and you see more and you talk to more people. And I think that's a rarity nowadays because you're bombarded with information off the internet. So being in a real space where you can do that was actually quite refreshing.
It does surprise me how many new companies there always seem to be, or how many new products, or how many new brands. Yeah. Particularly when, I can't remember the name of that. There was a new lightweight bag company, and part of me thinks, who was thinking? I'm gonna, like.
Do you know what this market needs? Another lightweight bag.
Yeah, like, do you know what this market needs? Another bloody massage gun. There were like 1,700 massage.
We need another gel. We need another weird fruit from somewhere that we can turn into something that's gonna disappear in 18 months.
What did you find? Wait,
well, no, but there's always someone that's got the.
Acai berry.
It's always like some like weird ingredient, isn't it? That someone's found somewhere that tries to be the new beetroot. But there's always those cropping up.
More socks. We need more socks. These socks are different, though.
Never enough fucking shorts, though. What is it with shorts? Like, why is there such a lack of shorts? Is shorts just not sexy? Is that? I mean, they're not. And when I say shorts, I mean shorts under £20, of course, because I don't want to pay more than that for them.
Maybe it's because people reuse their shorts more often than their tops, so they have less. They buy less shorts. Could that be it?
You use your shorts. I would think you'd need to switch out your shorts more than your tops. What do you think, Allie?
Actually, I kind of agree. Thinking about it, I wear my skirts all week, but I will swap out the top.
Yeah,
so I kind of agree on that. I love the shorts. There were sexy shorts. There were sexy shorts on the Design by Sport stand, the pink ones with dots on them.
No. I don't mean the sexy ones. I mean, like, there was loads of sexy shorts. I think the sexy shorts market, I think, is pretty good. Yeah. And you pay premium for sexy shorts as well. It's the standard, I'm not wearing sexy shorts today shorts that there's just doesn't seem to be much of. It means that I have to go to Sports Direct and find someone. I don't really like going to Sports Direct.
You're complaining because there aren't enough non-sexy shorts.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just want sexy.
Sometimes you don't want to. Sometimes you want to pop to Pure Gym and you don't want to be in your sexy shorts. There's nothing.
No one ever wants to pop to Pure Gym.
Like, sexy shorts are great. You go to a race, you're running with people, things like that. 43-year-old man in a gym full of children, basically. Sexy shorts is not the most appropriate thing to be wearing at that point. Certainly the sort of shorts that Danny Bent was bloody wearing on the stage, which weren't child friendly in any way. What was that?
No, they were not. We should have put him in the BBR crash to get rid of children wearing those shorts.
Yeah, I think men should not be wearing women-sized shorts because they miss. Well, no, they don't miss. They give too much, shall we say?
Yeah, exactly. It's the opposite of missing it. It's like, right, I can literally see the outline of everything, and that should be banned. And that's I find that quite a hard conversation to have with men. Like,
I've been looking at your knob, and I've been coming to this conclusion. It's essentially what you're saying.
Yeah. Oh, you nearly poked me in the eye there. Like, if that's the first thing that you say to them, it can get a little bit awkward. But like, there's a situation where you've got like a mate who wears those tight shorts or wears those leggings without shorts over the top, and they have done for ages, and you're like, you got to have a conversation with them. I always find it's best to get Lorna involved. Just get her to come along for a run, and she'll just say it to them. That's what I do. I use her.
Yeah, and especially because Danny's an excitable man, so...
Well, he is when he's introducing you. Bloody hell. He says he's got a man crush. He's like, you know, in a cartoon when someone's in love with someone, those little hearts appear in someone's eyes. When he starts talking about you on stage,
it's because we're besties.
Oh, it's so
because
sweet.
Jody's just jealous.
You know a bit in Love Actually where Egg from This Life has to show the video to that girl, and it's all just shots of her. That's basically what his
No, Jody's just saying this. Jody's just saying this because he was introduced as my sidekick, and Jody didn't like that at all. And Danny then I think felt quite bad after that as well, and quickly started reversing on everything.
It's the fact that he didn't know anything. He didn't know anything about me at all. It's just, and I've known him quite a while. Of course, not in as much. He just didn't know anything, and he was genuinely surprised to find that, like, when Allie told him like I'd worked for Men's Running and things like that. He was going, oh, I was genuinely surprised by that. That's what's funny.
But he said to me, give me some facts about Jody I don't know. So I was saying everything me and you had just talked about, like literally verbatim. When I said to him, he's got a copy of Born to Run, but he's not in it, Danny was kind of looking at me like, trying to, like, is that a joke? But I'm going to say it anyway. Just said it on stage.
Just going to say anything.
He's scrabbling for a fact. It's like, yeah, Jody invented UHT milk back in 2018. He just says it. It's like, right. Okay, brilliant. You tell update your Wikipedia page, Jody, or even better, get the do-badders to do it for you.
I tell you what, though, it's different, isn't it? When we don't have a stage that we know is populated with like our little tribe, or at least has like a lot of people in our tribe in it. It's different when you try and make in-jokes that no one gets. And like right at the start of the all sort of the presentations and stuff, like how many people listen to Bad Boy Running? And it was like 2, wasn't it? It was just, that's the first time we've ever been in front of people, you know, majority audience as Bad Boy Running, where they just have no idea who we are. Or they do, but they just choose not to listen.
I think the question I got asked the most at the weekend is, what is Bad Boy Running? Like, and that's great because it's great for discovery and I love it. But at the same time, it's like,
how do you answer it?
Here we go.
The answer is,
I don't know what it is.
I don't know. No one knows. It's not for you.
My answer was just, well, I'll tell you what, it's not. It's not a cult. And they just like were looking at me like, what do you mean it's not a cult? I'm like, it's not a cult. Say it again. It's not a cult. So it's great that there's a bit of discovery there, and I think we've probably got about maybe 4, 5 more listeners. Big numbers.
I think it was quite educational as well,
what I liked
Allie, because I didn't know until your introduction that you were top 10 most impressive women of the year or something in The Guardian.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, you kept that quiet. Why have you kept that quiet? I mean, obviously...
When that pops up in your life and you get given that accolade, which is one of the top 10 most inspiring adventurers of the year, you don't go around saying, hey everyone, guess what, I'm one of the top 10 most inspiring adventurers of the year.
Who was number 9?
I know, I was saying, who beat you? Who's more adventurous than you?
Who's edged you out?
It wasn't in number order. Oh,
so you could be number 1.
I probably am.
Oh, you were number 2 on the... Oh, no, just looking at you, you're number 2 on the list.
Oh, am I?
Yeah,
I think it might
number
be in
2.
alphabetical order.
Slightly higher,
clever.
Slightly higher than a human rights journalist. Oh, like she...
Yes! Human rights journalist. There's kind of penny.
Fuck you, human rights.
Is that...
Human rights? Human rights is so last year.
Who's that? Is that Stephanie? Stephanie Case?
No, there is another human rights one.
No, there are... no, sorry, human rights journalist.
As well,
Rebecca Lowe. So you beat Rebecca Lowe, Sally McGee, Allie Phillips.
I haven't beaten anyone.
Omi
in your
Dale.
face, Allie Phillips.
God, there's a lot.
Do one, Omi Dale.
Look at all these...
There's only one Allie.
All these
Allie
women that
Phillips,
you are pushing down with your celebrity. Rosie Swale Pope.
Yeah.
Sophie Nicholson, Tracy Edwards, and Anna Fleming.
Nice.
I think this is very thinly veiled. Who the hell are these people?
No, they're not at all. No, not at all. It's good.
But yeah, you don't go around saying it. When you get something like that, you don't. I just think it's just like, it's lovely, and I was very, very honoured, and I don't know where it came from, but at the same time, it's
I don't know
what it
all
is.
Of that, all of that pressurised, all that PR activity.
Have I got a tattoo?
Have you done a tattoo linked to it to memorise? Just to
I've got the Guardian logo on my back.
It's quite a clever way actually to because you almost need to now like The Guardian. I'm sure you did before, but it's quite a clever PR thing to you now feel like this affinity to The Guardian because they clearly have said, "Way."
What happens if the Daily Mail had done it? Would you have accepted?
Okay, this is what I said to my mum. I was like, the best thing about this, Mum, is that finally it's not a tabloid, because I've already been in the Daily Mail and I've already been in the Mirror, and it's like that was just embarrassing and awful, because it was just, the Mirror called us super fit endurance athletes.
Nice.
Which, no. And then the Daily Mail did a thing about me taking the girls to the Hebrides, but basically focused on the fact these women were leaving their children to go on an adventure. How dare they? And it was like literally like, these women have had the audacity to leave their houses and go to the Outer Hebrides without their children. And I'm like, that kind of wasn't the angle I was going for. Same with the Mirror.
You're in the sun as Ultra Totty.
Yeah, I was.
Ultra Totty! Amazing! Yeah. Oh my God.
What she wore.
Exactly, look at that.
Oh my God. Has anyone got that handle on
Ultra Totty
Instagram?
Oh, look at that.
That needs to be a fan account. Too bad, as you listen to this and you are good on Instagram, set up an Allie fan page.
No.
There is an Ultra Totty, and it's a child. It's like a... Oh. Yeah,
it's got sinister.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, that's not what I was supposed to be looking at, officer. No, honestly, I was Googling something else.
But what I like, because I love the kind of behind the scenes that you get to see, almost like the thick of it, all the madness going on behind. But because there were quite a few big names, you had Mo Farah, you had Paula Radcliffe, you had Steve Cram, and that means, I don't think it was Steve, but I think with the other two, you then suddenly have the agents, and I love the difference between the person and the person represented by the agent. And so Mo supposedly wasn't going to be meeting anyone, wasn't going to be having any photos, signing anything. He was going to be in and out on the stage for his allotted time, nothing else, because this is what the agent had represented. And of course he gets there and he signs autographs for an hour and a half, was it? An hour and a quarter? And they had they had to cut the queue because it was too long. And it just annoys me so much how agents create all this nightmare situation for bookers, for organisers, and actually almost create I reckon half these people who are just labelled as divas, half of it is just because they're women, the other half is probably because they've got an agent who's just coming up with all sorts of shit that they've never asked for, or insisting on all these rules that actually they don't necessarily want. And it just annoys me that they genuinely seem to be this negative impact on the running industry.
But it's part of the spin, isn't it? Because it's like, if you say, no, you can't have an autograph. If you say you can't have something, you want it more. So it's then building up this person. As if I'd have had an agent walk in with me with like my head down, a hoodie on, making a noise with a headset in, being like, oh, she's coming to stage, everybody would have been like, oh my God, who's that girl? Is that one of the top 10 most inspiring investors?
Ultra Totty? Ultra Totty?
Yeah, oh my God, here comes Ultra Totty. But I don't. And I think that's part of it, is the spin and the making people want more. And it's like, that's the job of the agent, is to make their product as valuable as it can possibly be. So they make this big fuss around it to get you like interested, and oh no, he'd never do that. Oh no, he's so special that he can't touch or see anybody else. Like, that's what they're for. So I get it, but it kind of annoys me and upsets me a little bit, because I would have really liked to have seen Mo maybe go and visit some of the stands, or be a bit more inspiring by actually having full-on conversations with people, because it just felt like they're a bit untouchable. Whereas you get someone like, Sab from Back Trail Runners, or Laura Swanson, and they're actually standing there and people are asking them questions like, how do I run my first ultra? And that is like human connection, inspiration, isn't it?
I just don't know
it might be a sexy story, but
Because even when we had a photo, I'd said, "Hey Mo, we had a photo with him," and then I was like, "All right, mate, I'm Somaliland marathon champion." He's like, "What? Where did you?" And we were kind of being moved on during this conversation, and so even mid one conversation, we were all then kind of shepherded off, so I just don't know how he could actually. And it almost gives you a little insight into how crazy elements of his life must be, because there were people kind of jumping up on stage, clambering towards him as he was walking in, and it was almost kind of Harry Styles-esque level of people are getting carried away here in the kind of the
But
excitement.
I feel like if you said he's going to be there for the whole day, we've got a stand where you can go and meet him, there wouldn't be that. People only do that because they think it's their only opportunity. Like if you can make space, I understand that he probably charges by the hour, he's really busy and he's got stuff he wants to do. But if, as someone that puts himself up as an inspirational leader, which is part of the job of being an Olympic athlete, I think make the time. Always make the time. You two must have had this where you have people come to talk to you and you're like, you just have to make 15 minutes to have a conversation with someone to change their life for a very long period of time, or the suggestion of what they should do for a very long period of time. But they don't have the time. They're there for 2 hours and then they leave. And I felt Paula was quite good at that. But I honestly didn't see Mo apart from when he went on stage. That was it. I didn't see anything of him.
I think there's also a thing with agents, isn't there, where it makes sense for them to kind of, shut down all the possibilities of something, so that if then, say, Mo does decide to then do autographs or do photos, it makes it look like, oh, Mo's such a great guy. He's kind of going against his agent, and he's doing this for the people type thing. And so it's probably just like a default thing that agents do, just like, he can't do this, he can't do that, he can't do that, and then leaves it to his discretion, or says, oh yeah, just spend half an hour doing it afterwards, because that was obviously arranged, that was obviously already sorted out. So yeah, it's like I don't think it was.
I genuinely don't think it was. I think I think that's why it was at this weird space to the side that there was a black backdrop rather than a national running show logo, because they'd have want the national running show logo behind.
Yeah,
if they'd actually thought it through, because that would just be so much better for their marketing, their branding.
Well, do you think there's an issue?
So hang on a minute. There was photos on a black plain backdrop.
Oh, just because that's the side of the stage.
Photoshop. We can get hold of them photos. We can put the BBR logos. We can get that it takes effort to be this mediocre. We can get all that stuff. This is genius. Putting someone on a black backdrop is way worse than putting them on a step and repeat. Way worse.
That's it. The other thing is,
so maybe we'll do
no, go on, sorry, David.
Doorbell sales company. Maybe we do doorbell sales company at the top.
Leave it to the do-badders. Leave it to the do-badders to Photoshop. What we need to do is get hold of that photo, leave it to the do-badders to Photoshop, and we'll come up with some options. The other thing I was thinking about what you were saying there, Ali, about actually going round and talking to people. There's another aspect to it, and of course I don't know Mo personally yet, or anything else like that. But isn't it sometimes, as an agent or whatever, you kind of sometimes want your to create this mystique about your client and things like that, because actually it turns out that they're not actually that interesting or inspirational, and there's a possibility that people might be slightly disappointed by. I mean, I'm not saying that's necessarily with Mo, but I just wonder that there's there might be a lot of that, is that, and people will probably still find inspirational to meet and stuff like that, but they might, I think with a lot of people, they're just kind of quite awkward and they don't really know what to kind of do when they come up against lots of people and things like that.
Should we discuss the awkwardness of Savvy repeatedly basically going, we want to get Mo Farah in our club, Mo? So Savvy from Black Chair Runners, she's quite funny. I didn't know her at all prior. And
she's probably one of the best speakers I've ever heard, because literally I was hanging off her every word. I'm like, I want to be in your gang. You're amazing.
Yeah,
she's amazing.
She's wonderfully eloquent and massively passionate. And so, but because there was an element of because we were discussing about role models and discussing about how to make people feel that there are representative individuals within the community, so that they don't feel like they're the only person in trail running or in running and because at one point, and I think it's before Mo had walked in, it felt like the atmosphere and the energy from some of the people from Emancipated Crew watching as well was when Mo Farah was talked about, that they felt that he hadn't done enough to almost try and make running feel more accessible for black people in Britain, which I hadn't really considered at that point, that he was almost, it seemed like there's an expectation on him to have to do something more rather than just running and being good at running. And actually, and yeah, that was something where that to me was really fascinating, that because I'm not sure what I'd love. In fact, let's have a chat with them to find out what they felt he should be doing more to kind of encouraging more young black people into running, or black people in general.
Because I thought when he was walking towards the stage, just at the end of that panel, he was gonna go up and be like brilliant. And I was like, that would be a moment for him, like a humanizing moment where he's like, listen to what people want, and he's done it. Like, and I said this to my mum on the phone the other day. I'm like, if Mo could turn up at 20 park runs in the UK just to start the park run and be like, park run is open to every single person in this country. That would be such an inspiring message, rather than doing a 40-minute chat, having 2 pictures taken and then leaving. I just feel like there's more people can do. Like as a woman in trail running, I always feel like it's really important for me to go, this is for everyone, including women who are actually better at endurance running than men when you think about it. But and if there's anything I can do to get people like me to start, I will. But I don't know whether with Mo that would even come into his head, because at the end of the day, he's a professional athlete and a businessman, and he's got an agent telling him what to do, and it's not really up to him, is it?
But also, Mo probably doesn't have any kind of concept about what running numbers are like in trail running or in park runs, or because where did he grow up? In Newham or similar? He probably went to an athletics club that was actually fairly balanced, because a lot of athletics clubs do have more of a mix between different ethnicities. And so for him, he probably hasn't necessarily realised or seen or witnessed that there is actually that running is predominantly a white middle class sport. Well, not necessarily middle class, but a white sport. So actually, it might be an issue that he has never considered, and therefore, how can you respond to an issue that you're not aware of?
But I think that I can't see how he wouldn't be aware of it. The thing that I don't get is that you go into this show, and does he really just go, I'm going to the show, doesn't look at who's speaking, doesn't look at the panels, doesn't look at what's going on, doesn't consider the audience? Because if he'd have had a look at the lineup for that day and seen what was happening just before he went on stage, I'm sure he would have gone, that's really interesting. I wonder what that's about. Like, did he visit any of the stands? Did he have a walk around even before the show opened or after it, or say to Mike, what's going on? I feel like Paula Radcliffe did that. I feel like she was actually interested in the community and what was going on, and curious about what was going on, because I saw her just hanging out at various stands and meeting loads of people. And I do get that he is a very famous, he's a sir, he's all this, he's all that, and he's got this agent, and he's only there for a certain amount of time. But he also had his kids with him, and I'm like, your kids are going to grow up with you having been an Olympian and all that, but they're also growing up in a world where there are still barriers for black people and people of colour within the sport, and maybe you should be thinking about that and standing up and being like, I'm going to make a stand to make, I'm going to say to people, this is an issue, and we can all work together to help resolve it. Like, I don't know, like I just feel, the Mo is real.
He still might not realise that those barriers within the sport exist, because for him, he might not have ever felt those barriers, and he might not ever have had those barriers in the same way, because he was fairly talented, went to Mary's, fairly standard route into running, and then was kind of coached amongst all the other athletes and just happened to commit more, train harder, all those things. So it would be nice if he'd done that, but there must be an element of that. There were security guards around the area with his kids, because I love
how you noticed this. I didn't notice any of this.
Yeah, because when I was
David was jealous. He's like, why do we not have
met...
security? Why do we not have security to push away the thousands of adoring fans?
I tried to get to his kids, but I couldn't get to his kids because there was security everywhere.
Because, well, yeah, I mean, but as I was walking back, I kind of walked past and like, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense, because there probably is an element of people become pretty weird around famous people at times.
Yeah, they do. They do.
And I'm sure there are times when overzealous or just slightly manic people are suddenly
misplaced,
just being weird with the whole family.
Yeah.
Or just really boring people that you want to keep away from you because they're going to talk to you for ages, and you're just like, oh man, I don't want to see your holiday photos of you running up a mountain in Bulgaria, thanks.
Yeah.
That's happened to me.
Yeah. So, and it could be that in 10 years' time, when Mo is now more of the level of what Paul has become, kind of an elder statesperson, that actually, when he's not getting as many appearance fees and he's not bringing the family everywhere, maybe hopefully then he will relax a bit and actually think a bit more about giving back and about his role in the community and about long-term impact. And
he's still in it though. That's the thing, isn't it? It's like, how long is it since Paula has been retired? So she probably left a lot of that kind of anxiety and everything. And remember, with Mo, there's controversy around him as well, whether he likes it or not. And so there's that level of protection is going to be much, much higher, just at this stage. And I think, like you say, I think as soon as it all kind of mellows a bit and it's forgotten and all the rumours dissipate as once.
Do you mean when he's opened the door? When
he's answered the door finally.
Exactly.
Yeah, that bell keeps on ringing.
We should do a day. We should find out his address and then just have a day where we send round.
Why do they need security? David goes, we should find out his address. Right, there we go. That's why you need security.
We should send down hundreds and hundreds. Just like order hundreds and hundreds of things that are all delivered at different times. So she has a day.
So he's constantly on edge.
Ding dong, ding dong.
That's our house. With Amazon deliveries.
That's what the testers need to do. The testers need to turn up as like Amazon delivery drivers. That's how you get them to open the door. And
or like birthday delivery drivers with loads of balloons.
Yeah. That's how it works. And what else would you? What were the other highlights from the One Show? Would you guys say? I thought what was quite hard was, for one, we had some panels with 4 people, and then there's 2 of us, and actually the distance between us and the guests, when we couldn't really hear.
That first panel.
Tricky.
The first panel we had about the challenge behind the challenge. Oh, that was just because I got on there and I was talking, I was listening, and I was thinking, I can't actually hear what anyone's saying. And I was like, I don't know what to do in this situation. Do I just leave the stage and say there's a problem with this stuff? Or do I just carry on and just hopefully it'll... And I was thinking, well, David's pretty much leading it. So all I need to do at this point is just jump in with a question or two to show that I'm actually listening and this kind of stuff. And I didn't say anything at the time after it had finished, but I did notice that they were kind of talking between themselves a little bit. And it wasn't until afterwards when I spoke to Sharif and I go, in that session, it's really funny because I couldn't hear anything. He goes, I couldn't hear anything either. And then we spoke to Eric, and it was like, I couldn't hear anything either. It turns out none of us could hear each other. And they couldn't even hear stuff from the floor as well. And so they were talking between themselves, going, what did they find? What did they ask? What was that? It was something about finance. All right, I'll talk about finance. And so no one could hear what anyone else was saying. The only reason I could hear because Sharif was slightly louder than everyone else, and his diction was a little bit clearer. So I could. But then I asked him a question. He asked me to clarify it. I had no idea what he said, so I just went yes. And then he went, and then answered whatever question he wanted. It wasn't until later. Well, because I thought it was just me. We told Mike later, and Mike's like, let me go and speak to the sound guy, see if it's a problem. And he went to the sound guy and came back about 2 seconds later, looking like pretty stern, and go, he's just told me there's nothing you can fucking do about it. And so I'm off to kick a small child in the face. Which that level of care, I think, is quite important from someone that's helping produce shows. It was pretty late in the day anyway, so.
But yeah, I think
it was hard hearing people, wasn't it? And I spent most of the time like this, like looking at an old man, like trying to lip read. Like, And the thing is, on my panels, it seemed like everybody else could hear except me. Or was everybody just styling it out? Maybe people were just.
I think everyone was styling it out. No one could hear.
It was all right by. Yeah, when you some smaller panels, it was all right when you were closer and you could actually hear them just from their voice rather than from picking up the microphone ringing out. But yeah, because you could tell. I think there's a few things I'd have changed. One, I wouldn't have put the social media panel right at the end of the Sunday when everyone's absolutely knackered, because there were a few hard questions we put in there when you could see the guests were like, oh Christ, I've really got to answer this well, but I am knackered and I haven't got the mental capacity to really think about. Yeah, that was one of those ones that like, oh boy, we're all drained and this is like there's some, we've got to be really careful in how we're putting this across. So they'll change that. What else any changes you guys have made or any other highlights?
I had a brilliant idea the other night. I think that the running show North, the Birmingham one, we should make. I love the way
that's now called the running show North. Birmingham's now the North.
You can have that, Mike. Or for me, it's still the South. I think we should have an hour where we do a fashion show on our stage, and everyone who's exhibiting has to pick a model who's working on their stand, put on the clothes, and do a runway walk with us commentating on what they're wearing.
That would be
fun. What we think what they're wearing can do for you as an athlete. I think it would be amazing. I just think a little bit more interaction would have been great, because it's quite difficult when people are just sitting there on their little stools. You're like, are you sitting here because you're tired, or are you sitting here because you actually want to listen to what's being said? But when you say to them, hey man, stand up, hey man, make some noise, put your hand up if, turn around, take down your trousers, get your wallet out and give it to me. They do whatever you tell them to do, and they have like, and they kind of do get a bit more like involved in it. And I think we just, we do that anyway on the Birmingham stand. Yeah. I feel like we do that quite a lot.
Well, I think it helps.
It's all we've got. It's all we've got
in the audience.
Yeah. We just basically get to do, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands, and then we introduce people. But I think that would be good. That would be good. It's a bit
and actually, that's a good thing about having the Bad Boy stage, is that you get a lot more questions and there is a lot more energy, and it is a lot easier to have more of an interactive session, because there's nothing worse than there are a couple of times when you then like, right, questions from the audience, and like look, and you're like, wow, there's hundreds of you and no one's raising their hand.
It's definitely a shyness thing, though.
It's intimidating.
People, like, being a bit silly at the beginning and like, turn around to the person next to you, high five them, then the ice is broken and people tend to be a little bit more interactive. Because it's hard, man. Like, especially, a lot of runners are quite lone wolves, and to go into a room where you don't know anybody and your mates aren't going to come with you because it's a running show. So I think your
mates aren't going to come with you.
At G'ing people up. Your mates, you haven't got any mates. You're an endurance runner. You've got no mates.
Your mates aren't going to come with you.
They don't like you. So I think. But Danny was great. Like, he was, getting people up and down, and also there's that thing where if you're presenting and you've got half-filled seats, it's not a reflection on your presenting or who you're interviewing. It's a reflection on who's gone for their lunch, who's gone to do this, who's gone to do that. Like, Saturday morning is dead because of parkrun, and then suddenly at 11 o'clock it's full because people have come in from parkrun. So
or not
come in from parkrun. So
David and I went to parkrun. We went to parkrun.
I know. There was no parkrun.
There was no park. I don't know if it was because of us.
They heard you were coming, and Mo's agent cancelled it.
Yeah, it's strange because there were enough people there for a park run. You could see lots of people running around individually and kind of
everyone looking very furtive at the start, weren't they? Because there was obviously people that turn up for the run show that were coming to the park run.
Why?
And kind of everyone was.
Why was there no park run?
Apparently, it was cancelled because of a lacrosse match, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that was the rumour.
It's the national running show. The lacrosse match can wait. This is your biggest opportunity as Farnborough Park Run to get run people that aren't usually there.
It's on army ground, isn't it? That's an army ground, isn't it? So if the army say we're playing lacrosse, they fuck off. Then you bow to lacrosse. I just love the idea that lacrosse even still exists as a thing. I thought just like American colleges still did it.
I had to play at school.
Did
It was
you?
awful.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I went to a girls' grammar school and it was like all lacrosse and shinty. I remember smacking a girl in the head with a shinty stick
Shinty?
by
What's
accident.
shinty?
Shinty's like, you know, them walking sticks, they're like
Yeah.
upside downy.
Yeah.
It's like that, and you smack a really hard ball.
that's it.
And getting a load of teenage girls that don't like each other to play shinty is a good
So
idea.
it's kind of like hurling, is it?
It's like smacking each other with sticks.
Yeah, it's like, I remember I had a
So
book
it's like a
about
posh
sports, and
hockey.
hurling and shinty were like on the facing pages of it, because I think they're quite similar.
It's like hockey, but like with walking sticks.
Where did you go to school, Allie? Because this says it's kind of like a Scottish sport, shinty.
Bournemouth, the lowest you can get away from Scotland.
Wow. So were you county champions as the only people in the county that played shinty?
I have no idea because I wasn't very good. And so the classic UK schooling thing, if you're not very good at something, never ever do it again. Not get a bit better at it, never do it again.
I can't imagine that there are so many people that are good at, that even play shinty, that they, that it'd be particularly hard to make up a team. I like, what, how?
I don't think it's an Olympic sport, put it that way. It's a it's just hockey, but with cheapo sticks
Ah.
that hurt when they hit you.
Yeah, it looks quite aggressive.
It is. It's as aggressive as you want it to be.
The number two image of when you type shinty is facing up to shinty injuries, BBC Sports. It's a picture of someone with a stick
That's
in
a
their
typical,
face. Classic.
Yeah, classic. So I thought that it was a very, 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 very lovely experience, the old running show, Sal. But also, can we just say thank you to our volunteers on the BBR stand, Andy, Suzanne, Sean, Paul, and then Rich McDowell came down, Paul Mason came down, who has now joined BBRC, another overachiever in the club. And I'm sure, Susie as well, for being the linchpin that held it all together, because that was great. And I know a lot of people went to the chill zone, had a sit on some beanbags and had some really good chats and left accidentally having signed up for ultras, which is always a good thing.
What I like about the way the stand, the
coming
ultra chill zone, was the equivalent of being a naughty boy stood staring at the wall. It was just like in the corner, facing the wall, like you've been told off, and now you're being punished.
Have a think about what you've done. But I said to the Mike, "Oh, you put us in the corner," and he's like, "No, it's because it's really chill over there." And I'm like, "You put us in the corner because we've been naughty, and out of the way of anyone." But it did actually become a crash. It became a crash because the beanbags people it was actually great because there was a few women who came over to feed their children, breastfeed their children. Were like, "There's nowhere else for us to go," and there wasn't because the restaurant area is really open plan. So they managed, they had a big Chesterfield, and it was really, really lovely. And I think, at Birmingham, we should make a point of having a similar little nice enclave where people can come if they need to and take 10 minutes.
You're saying Mike is anti-mother then? Is that
good idea.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the running show is anti-mother.
Anti-mother.
It actually says no breastfeeding allowed as you walk in.
Imagine that. Imagine the world is turned upside down when you think, oh, I know, let's go to the BBR stand in order to, one, let them look after our kids, and two, to breastfeed. That is a serious misalignment there. If those two things are perfectly sensible.
New opportunity for merch there, Jody. You've got an opportunity to get some merch out, some baby junior
grows.
merch.
BBR baby grows.
Yeah,
it's a good idea actually.
But even they could do things like I may be rubbish at sport, but it means I'm good at running or something. There's something along those lines, right? I might be rubbish at all our school sports, but I'll be an ultra runner one day. That kind of top. That'd be a nice one.
I mean, that just trips off the tongue, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What a slogan.
The other thing that's difficult, I think, about not having a specific ultra zone is that if in an ultra zone, when we have it, you have people who've done ultras, and so you can make jokes about ultras that everyone kind of gets when you can kind of go, oh, everyone here is obviously jaded and hates their lives, and and all that kind of stuff. That's funny. They kind of they realise they're shit at stuff and they're going to do an ultra instead. When you're doing it to an audience that is starting to kind of that want to be inspired to do ultras.
Up to ultra runners.
They will look up to ultras, and they want to feel inspired to do it. You can't make all of those jokes because it jars with what they're because they're doing it and they're thinking, oh, I'm going to feel this great sense of achievement when I've done it and everything else. And you're going, oh, it's for people that have had a breakdown and midlife crisis and stuff like that. And it's just not funny when in front of those people.
Yeah. You got to be careful, haven't you? This is why it's so cult-like, because you've got to be like, oh my god, it's amazing, it's great, come on in, you're gonna have the time of your life. And the minute they've done their first one, it's
You
straight into
idiots! You idiots!
Awful.
You can't
How
believe
do
you
you
believe
feel?
me.
Yeah, you don't feel very good, do you? You're gonna do it again. You're addicted now, aren't you? Oh well.
Well,
Bye-bye.
we've got at least one ultra sign up, because when I went for my first long run in a long time, in about 3 years, on the Sunday morning, and I was kind of heckled with positive something that I couldn't quite hear on the canal, and then was emailed. So there's someone called Chris Holmes who was in our ultra panel, listening to our ultra panel on the Saturday, and he'd said that he'd recognised us from the Saturday, and he's already inspired by the panel, and he's set up some tasks for 2023 because he's on the way back from recovery, and he's going to do going to go to do 5k to ultra 100 events. So he's signing up to his first to do some ultras. So
yeah. I mean, and that's not the only one. I mean, James Elson owes me some money because I've literally had 3 people going to sign up for South Downs Way 50. Like, it really does make a difference.
Yeah.
Like, just having a conversation with people, and the big thing people say is, I don't know when I'll ever be ready. And it's like, you're not going to be ready till you sign up for it. Like, you sign up for it, it's there. It's like a build it, and it will come, and you have to just get ready. And so that's the brilliant thing. Like, it is a really nice feeling to have people. I think it's probably listening to you and actually acting on it, which is quite a strange thing. But in that sense, I think it was really, really successful. And also even the ultra panel, which was all 3 of us having a chat. You stand there and look at that, and you're like, okay, I can definitely identify with one of these people.
Yeah, I was
like,
going to say, we have 3 totally different approaches, don't we? And
it's like none of it. There is no wrong way to train for an ultra. There is no right way to train for an ultra. Like, it's not like if you want to get a 3:30 marathon time, there is a right way and a wrong way. But if you want to run an ultra, there is no right way. There is no wrong way. You just have to get it done. And so I love that. I think it's great. Do you know what? We're so inspiring. We're the Guardian's top 3 most inspiring people of the year.
Well, I do almost need to be. With the Spice Girls, they all had their own. You had Sporty Spice, you had Posh Spice. Now we've already got Ultra Totty. So
for Christ's sake,
I think Jody needs to be. Is he Ultra Posh? Is that your
posh?
Is that your
You're
Spice
the posh
Girls
one.
take on the? No. You're more southern, and the further south you are, the posher you are. Whereas I
think Jody would be ultra pithy. Like, he's the one that's going to put you down no matter what you've done.
Ultra pithy.
He's going to put you into he's going to put you in your box.
I don't know.
You're going to be like, I've just signed up for a 100 miler, and he's going to go, they're shit. It's going to be great.
I do. I still think the way that I talk about stuff like that is still inspiring in a different way. In the sense that what I like to do is I like to just lower people's expectations.
Yeah, it makes people's expectations to a level that they don't even expect anything.
That's because what did you say? We were talking about this, and I was saying, I don't know if this is the time to go into it, but it was around people were saying things like that, and I was saying, you can just do it, don't worry about it, just kind of do it, and don't. It's not that big a deal, and all that kind of stuff. But I think I do think it's important that people don't necessarily build it up too much, because I think that there is, it is only a race, isn't it? It is that's all it is. I think that's the thing. If it goes to shit, then
it's not even a race. It's just an experience, isn't it?
Yeah, if it goes to shit,
that's what I'm trying to say to people. It's like, it's an adventure, and adventures have twists and turns. And when you sign up to 100 or 50, you're not going in to win it generally. You're going in for an adventure, and so the adventure could be whatever you make it. And so just get on with it.
And you failed. If you fail in that, it doesn't matter, because you failed in lots of other things in your life, and you just and you survived all of those things. So why not just keep pushing on with it? I'm not sure that that's particularly inspiring.
If you're a listener, you've probably failed in most of the things in your life as a listener. Most listeners have.
It's just
We're talking about you, sir.
Another thing that you can add to your big catalogue of failures. So why not make it a spectacular failure?
I mean, you're used to failure,
public,
right?
Embarrassing one.
The more public,
exactly.
the more
It's what you
spectacular.
feel most naturally.
Yeah. I mean, looking at you, doesn't look like you've done much for your life. So yeah, sign up for 100.
Do it. Right, I think that's been a good amount of time on this one. So, Should we wrap things up there, people? Any last memories of the run show, South? Any other highlights?
I tell you what. Just as soon as January run show goes on sale, you need to get tickets, because having Laura Swanson Ravel in there, she's doing the spine next year. She's going to come in fresh and be interviewed on the Sunday. She would have finished probably on the Thursday, and you know, chatting to her, we've got loads of sort of connections. We get some really good guests on the ultra stage, so I'm really excited about January already. I've got some great ideas for it.
Yeah, it should be good. It will be good, and we'll be back in full force with full stage. So, well, thanks everyone for listening. Thanks to the Run Show. Thanks to Danny Bent for recognising, you know, all of my talents and various things, and realising that Jody does own a lot of books that he's not in. And
that was my joke. I can't use my joke back against me. That was the joke I made about myself.
He looked so confused when he was saying it. Like he didn't even know why he was saying it. He owns a copy of Born to Run, but he's not in it. I'm like, wow, I literally could have said anything. I could have said he's a neo-Nazi representative for Hove, but lucky I didn't, right?
It is lucky,
I mean, people probably listen to that and think, classic ultra pithy, ultra pithy, your new name.
Yeah. What spice are you then, David?
Ultra Savile.
Posh would probably, I don't know, Ultra Savile.
Ultra Savile.
Ooh.
No.
Ultra savvy.
Not savvy.
We'll work on it.
Wow, a pet name. A pet name, great.
What are Jody and my ultra names going to be? To join
ultra inappropriate.
I don't want to be ultra totty, but I am now. So there we go.
You can't fight
lads,
who you are, Allie. Well,
you can't fight who you are.
Thanks, listening, guys, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.